What's up, guys? Welcome back to some more Dark Souls 2. As you can see, I'm joining the heirs of the Sun Covenant, picking up the Sun Seal, and this episode is going to be completely dedicated to getting those Sunlight medals. So, a lot of co-op in store. I had to jump forward to through this Athena battle because actually in a lot of these battles I had to jump forward to the fog gate because there was a lot of waiting around for other people to be summoned, or they just wanted some help clearing the rest of the level. For the most part, these Covetous Demon battles went really well. There are exactly 30 of them, I'm pretty sure. I didn't actually count them, so if you want to count them, go for it. But turns out Lingering Flame does a pretty good job against the Covetous Demon, as well as the dual rapiers. So, very first Sunlight medal is done. Going on to the Suzaku Misfit battle. The vast majority of these battles were victories. Eventually, later on in this, you'll end up finding one of them where the host actually did die, and that was kind of funny and sad at the same time. Also, kind of an interesting tidbit about this battle. You know those jars that I found at the very top? You can actually use those jars to distract the Covetous Demon. If you hit the jars, the bodies fall, and the Covetous Demon is distracted. Unfortunately, that really wasn't anything that we did in any of the battles. Though more than once, more than once, the hosts or the summoned phantoms, mostly gold phantoms, wanted to try and poison the Covetous Demon. They would get him to get covered in all the poisons, and he would destroy pretty much all the jars all around the room. Does not look like Covetous Demon can be poisoned. It does not look like that's an easy thing to do. So, Aaron's anxious. I guess we're getting started. It's always so much easier when they just summon me and they don't summon anyone else. Between Lingering Flame and the dual rapiers, the gluttonous, or Covetous Demon, what am I saying? Gluttonous Demon? The Covetous Demon is really easy to kill. Lingering Flame is awesome. And the dual rapiers just tears apart everyone. Look at that. Massive damage on the Covetous Demon. Whoop. A little bit of lag, but so be it. Recording this whole episode, there was a little bit of lag, so I do apologize, but such is life. So if you haven't figured out by now, this is obviously post-commentary. I'm not doing this. I'm not talking continuously and playing the game. Corvus. He's not the brightest fighter, but I think he survived this one. Whoop. Oh. We'll be coming up on also some really heavy lag issues. Trying to get all 30 Sunlight medals in one evening took about 3 hours. And I mean that's good. It means I got a whole ton of co-op in 3 hours. That's a good thing. But it really did allow me to test the system a little bit better for how well the system works for co-op. Most of the time, now I was testing this in an off-hours session, so the near future of Dark Souls 2, once the hype wears down, once enough people start beating the game, the amount of people online will die down. And an off-hours session in the middle of the night in the United States, too early in the morning for most Europeans, although not impossible. It ended up being really easy to get summoned, although early on, at some point I had to wait like 40 minutes in order to get summoned, like twice. And then there was another hour where I got summoned as soon as I put down my summon sign. So we'll see where the busyness of the community goes, but it's looking like it'll stick around. The co-op will be really easy, and PvP will be really easy for some time to come. Hopefully at least the next year. One thing I actually haven't explained yet is why I'm even looking to get all these sunlight medals. This is one of the easiest covenants in the game to max out, and the ultimate reward for maxing out the Heirs of the Sun covenant is a god tier weapon. It's a sunlight spear, and that's what I'm going for. It requires 55 faith, so it's not something I can use very easily, but it is something that I could potentially switch into with soul vessels. The Shrek 2, this guy was annoying. It took, what, 10 minutes after I was summoned to his world before we finally challenged the boss? Maybe longer, maybe 10, 15 minutes or something, I don't know. It took a very long time for him. And the very end of this battle particularly was problematic. Now I'm sticking specifically to my region. I'm not cross-regional, so it was specifically North America. And then some really weird things started happening. See, I'm connecting, but no damage is being done. No one's moving. Lancelot and I are still connected. Shrek 2's having a really hard time staying connected to us. Unfortunately, with this battle, you'll see the Covenant's demon die here soon. Just kind of flop around. Unfortunately, I got the souls, but I was disconnected from the multiplayer session, so no sunlight medal. It just took me out right away. That has not happened much. It is a rare case, but it does happen. I don't know why. Maybe it was probably Shrek 2's connection. I do not believe it was an issue of the Steam servers, but what ended up happening is I could no longer use Lingering Flame because I did not get any of the Lingering Flames back after that fight. So luckily I didn't take a lot of damage that fight. Otherwise I would be out Estus Flasks too, and this would just be a bad time. Celebrations ensue. Joan of Arc and Arcos or something like that. The one thing I do have to complain about Dark Souls 2 is they star out parts of the names that don't necessarily make sense. But why would you star out two letters, but not three? I mean, what could those two letters possibly make that would be offensive as part of a greater word? I mean, I've seen cuss words in names be completely censored out, and while I don't agree with it, it's whatever. But I would like the option to not censor the names, personally. That's my take on it. I don't think we should be forced to have names censored. If people want to name themselves fucking crazy bitch, they should be able to. And it should be the choice of the person, whether or not they want to see those names. Anyways, mini rant. Those spikes on the wall that you see where he swung previously and destroyed the pots, I did not find those spikes to be harming him in any way. They're just aesthetic, so it would seem. Most of this room is aesthetic. If you watch the last episode, you will find out that most of this room is aesthetic. Because I tried exploring different parts of the room. It was not possible. On to the next battle. Jaime Lannister and a White Phantom, believe it or not. Could be a White Phantom for who knows how many reasons. But these. This is not a very memorable battle. I recorded this a couple days ago, post commentary now. And I don't remember this battle. This must not be a special battle with nobody special involved. At the end of this episode, there is a special prize. We have some extra special stuff happening at the end of this episode. And, of course, spending all the souls. Huge amount of souls. Yeah, that was not a very special battle, but it was a battle nonetheless. I know soon we're going to start coming across some very special battles with some very special, memorable people whom I ended up working very well together with. Ashton Magic Man. Also a battle I don't really remember. So I'm sure if you guys are keeping up with Dark Souls 2 news, I'm sure you guys have heard about Kadokawa buying out From Software and the Souls series. So those of you guys that don't know, Kadokawa is primarily a manga publisher. They do some anime, but for the most part they don't do video games. They've only recently started publishing video games, and they're diversifying their company. And From Software seems like a safe choice and a good choice. Although right now, buying them right now means you're paying a premium. You're buying them at a very high market value price. But if they keep producing games like the Souls series, they're going to become even more valuable, and Kadokawa would have made a good purchase. Otherwise, it's gonna hurt them. Only time will be able to tell us what the correct course of action was. Some people are very concerned that From Software was bought out. I think it might end up being a good thing. I mean, the Souls games, they're decently sized, and they are very well polished, very well balanced. But we have to understand that the Souls games have a very small budget. Dark Souls had a bigger budget than Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 2 had an even bigger budget from Dark Souls 1, and that's due to the successes of the previous games. It's a great thing. Another Shrek here. But they never had a huge amount of money to work with, and Kadokawa can supply that money. Kadokawa is one of those companies that just has a huge amount of money, and they can help provide much greater funding to future Souls games. So while there's the possibility of anime or manga coming out for the Souls series, and they might want to milk it for everything it's worth, but that would kind of destroy what the Souls series means. More on that in a minute. They could also simply be providing extra funding for the Souls games, and that would be in the best interest of the Souls series. More money for From Software, bigger budgets means higher quality games, bigger games, and ultimately, hopefully, a better product as a whole. If they keep working on the Souls series, there's the possibility hinted at the Souls series is over and they're starting a new IP with the From Software's team. Personally, I'm not opposed to new IP, but the Souls universe carries a great deal of wonder about it. It's designed very well. And to see that go away would be very sad indeed. Whether or not we'll see it go away, well, again, only time will tell. No Dark Souls 3 has been confirmed. No new Souls game has been confirmed. Only that From Software has been bought out by Kadokawa. I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, the frame drops were really starting to pick up around this time. The end file was many times bigger than what I typically do for the for these videos. Normally I go to about 5 gigabytes for a video file. If I go too much more, then it starts becoming an issue. This file ended up being about 10 gigabytes in size, so there are definitely some frame drops, and I do apologize for that. I didn't realize that until after the fact, and I can't change it after the fact. And I can't exactly get another 30 sunlight medals and use them all. Anyways, I digress. I believe that the Kadokawa deal will end up just being a boon for From Software. It'll just be extra money, a deeper wallet. What does this mean for Namco Bandai? Is what I really want to know. And what does this mean for YouTubers who want to make future games or future series off of From Software's works? Kadokawa is a manga and anime publisher, and typically those publishers are very restrictive in their copyright law. Just like Nintendo, Microsoft Studios, you can't really make any videos about their games. 2K Games is a little bit more lenient, but it is very situational. From Software just says do whatever you want within reason. As long as it's not hurting the game, you can make videos about it. Not a Cleric was another one of those that took forever to get started. Not a fan of Not a Cleric and Bane. That's actually a memorable one just because of how long it took to get into the boss fight. Anyways, I don't know Kadokawa's position on YouTube monetization copyright, but they are going to have a solid position if they plan on using any of the IP from Software or using the From Software team, because you know the From Software team has the potential to create something good. What we will see, who knows? 2015 will be a very educational year. We might even start seeing Kadokawa at E3 events, but only as a smaller player temporarily. If they keep buying up good teams like they are right now, then we could see Kadokawa perhaps replace Microsoft Studios. Microsoft has been failing for many years, so it's a possibility that another studio, another big studio, could replace Microsoft Studios. Or that the entire event becomes more... The audio go. I think this might just be a quiet battle. Or the entire... Anyways. Yes! We might see more of Kadokawa in the future. So back to the lore and what could possibly destroy the Souls series if Kadokawa uses the manga and anime side that they have to produce more content to get more money out of the Souls series. Milking a series is nothing new. Plenty of publishers, developers, they will create merchandise, they'll sell things related to it. They will do smart business decisions to get as much money out of the series as possible. And the fans, often, the fans are very happy because they get all this cool merchandise, all this cool stuff they get to play with. This is the one thing that would be bad for the Souls series. Not necessarily the merchandise, but the fact that the lore in this game, the story in this game, is extremely deep, and it's very vague for a reason. It's meant to be a mystery. There's a real sense of wonder around the Souls series. All of the Souls games, all the lore. You just don't quite know what to expect or what really happened. I mean, take Dark Souls 2 for example. We know it happened after Dark Souls 1. That's been confirmed. Probably. There is an argument that could be made it could have happened after or before Dark Souls 1, but it's highly unlikely given some of the way the structures are placed and key locations are placed similar to Lordran. It's quite possible this is after Dark Souls 1. Where Demon Souls falls, who knows? It could be a different area, the same region, or it could be a completely different timeline, a completely different story. Demon Souls fits into the Dark Souls lore somehow, but the connection has not yet been made clear. But in Dark Souls 2, we know we're at least 2,000 years into the future. It's been about 2,000 years. And we're still using magic. For the most part, the magic has stuck around. Hexes have been developed. There has been progress in the world. Hexes are new. And we don't know really where they came from. The original hex appears to have come from Magnus, Dark Souls 1. Well, pre-Dark Souls 1, really. It's Dark Souls 1 DLC, which happened in Ulasil, which existed before the events of Dark Souls. But after the kindling of the first flame by Gwyn. Ulasil sunk. Ulasil's gone. So we can see the impact the Abyss has and the impact time has on the effects of the terrain. It's not a stretch to say that Dark Souls 2, that Drang Lake, is Lordran, is Anor Londo. That's not a stretch. Aven. Remember that name. We've seen her before. But remember Aven. Aven is someone that'll be appearing regularly throughout the rest of this video. Aven is someone I ended up working really well with. We did a lot of co-op together. In the later hours, anyways. But we know that Drang Lake is most likely Lordran and Anor Londo. That's interesting to me. But it's not... People have said there's no way. There's no way that man-made structures and all this glorious land crumbled into this place that we can't even recognize anymore. They say it's not possible. I say, of course it is. In 100 years, most man-made structures would not exist. 2,000? The place is going to be unrecognizable. Time does some pretty amazing things. There are some ruins that have lasted. I mean, you look at ancient Carthage. There are some great cities that we're still digging up, that we're still finding. And stuff that's just been sitting out in the middle of nowhere for millennia, unused. It's very possible for ruins like we see in Dark Souls 2 to exist and be the remnants of an old great civilization. Just like they say in the Dark Souls 2 lore, many kingdoms have risen and fallen on this very spot. It makes me wonder what happened before Lordran. What was the world like before Lordran, and what was New Londo? And we've seen the New Londo ruins. They were flooded, and we heard some basic story about it throughout the game. And if you're more interested in that, I do recommend checking out Epic Name Bro. His lore series is phenomenal. He can tell you anything about anything for all 3 Souls games. And he helped make the strategy guide for Dark Souls 2. Vivi. Also check out Vivi. She's going to be showing up here quite a bit as well. Vivi and Avon. But what civilization existed before Lordran? That's not something we know. And by now, I'm sure you guys have realized I've digressed a great deal from the original topic, but it all ties in. If you were to make a manga or an anime about the Souls series, you have to fill in so many gaps. You have to remove a lot of the wonder. We know Knight Artorias was this beast of a warrior. He was just... We fought him when he had a horrible mind and only one good arm. If that. Like, barely a good arm. And he was still so powerful that we ended up almost losing to him. I mean, we were the ones that killed him, but Knight Artorias was more than a match for the Chosen Undead. And Knight Artorias was not in his prime. The wonder that goes with Knight Artorias, I mean, maybe they could make something about Knight Artorias, give the great story of Knight Artorias. That'd be pretty cool. I'd like to know more about Knight Artorias, but I also feel like their interpretation is not the same as everyone else's interpretation, and they could spoil Knight Artorias. They could ruin his legend for some people. That not knowing his backstory, not knowing his skills is part of the story. It's part of why he is such a legend. And why we care about him so much. Now, of course, not everyone holds Knight Artorias on a pedestal, but he is certainly a great warrior. I mean, there's no getting around that. He was one of the few that could actually deal with the Abyss for an extended period of time. Just like the Chosen Undead. But the Chosen Undead, just like Artorias, eventually succumbed to the powers of the Abyss. There's no getting around that. The Chosen Undead could even be King Vendrick. I know that seems like a bit of a stretch, and if you guys haven't looked up much of the lore for Dark Souls 2 yet, it's not going to make much sense. How could the Chosen Undead be King Vendrick? How could King Vendrick be a Chosen Undead? Again, I recommend looking up Epic Name Bro. He has a great deal to say about the Dark Souls 2 lore. I can't even begin to touch on the complexities in such a short video. In 1 hour long video? No way. There's way too much to talk about. Hi, Vivi. Vivi remembers me. Avon remembers me. We see each other quite a bit. And we just end up working really well as a team. It's great. Anyways, I keep changing subjects. Like I was saying, creating a manga or an anime about the Souls series, it just kind of destroys the legend that is the Souls series. I mean, it's a hard game, and that's great. But it also, to me, my favorite game I've ever played is Dark Souls 2. I much prefer it over Dark Souls 1. It's just a better game, in my opinion. Dark Souls 2 is a better game than Dark Souls 1. And many people disagree with that. It's hard to compare. I mean, they're very different games, based off the same style. JRPG. But Dark Souls 2 is in the top 5 of all of my favorite games, and it is most certainly my favorite game in the Souls series. For lore, Dark Souls 1 for me, but everyone has their own preferences. I know Epic Name Bro, his favorite lore is with the Demon Souls game. And I don't know much about the lore of Demon Souls. I'm gonna have to look up the lore of Demon Souls in greater detail in the future, but I do know that it has a very good story. I think this Antimony was another one of these that I had to wait for a while before he summoned Cypist, another person that appeared every once in a while. Another quiet battle that would appear. Anyways, I've kind of been rambling, but the point being, I don't think taking away the wonder by creating another story based off of the current lore is a good idea. Now, if they create maybe a story about Gwyn, maybe the story about the shedding the dragon's scales and peeling them off with lightning, the story of Seath, the story of Nito, you know, what happened in the Great War? What happened when the undead showed up, when the curse finally became a real problem to deal with? I would like to know what happened in that war and what happened after the war, after Gwyn sacrificed himself. Then what? Did it just go into a world of peace and the curse was held off until 1,000 years later the events of Dark Souls 1 happened? Maybe they could do an anime or manga series based on the connections between Demon Souls and Dark Souls. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I would think that would be pretty cool if there is even that connection available. There are some petrified animals and petrified NPCs, characters in this game, that come from different lands. Strait of Olafus, someone that will appear soon in my playthrough. He's a pretty cool guy, but he's not from Drang Lake. He's from a different time, a different empire. He was turned to stone before the before Drang Lake, before the King Vendrick and the Iron King, not the Iron King, before King Vendrick was in power. Strait of Olafus was around. Strait of Olafus hails from a land that is in the same spot that Drang Lake is now, but was not called Drang Lake. It was not called Lordran. Called something completely different. So what's the story of Strayed, of Strayed's time? What's the story of Jester's, not Jester, Chester, Marvelous Chester in Dark Souls 1? What time did he come from? It looked like he came from the future. With the clothes he was wearing and the crossbow he had, unique to him, not something that was readily available in Dark Souls 1, not something that was readily available in Ulasil, and certainly not something that was readily available in Dark Souls 2. A repeating heavy crossbow, that's something that's very foreign to all of the Souls games, to the best of my knowledge. If it was in Demon Souls, I'm sorry, I don't know that. I do not believe it was in Demon Souls either, which means what era is Marvelous Chester from? And in a way, what era is Strait of Olafus from? So that was the 30th and last battle. I offered up 30 Sunlight Medals. This was 10. I got the Sunlight Parma. Offer up quite a few of those. Sunlight Medals again to 20 to get the Sun Sword. And the 30th Sunlight Medal to get the Sunlight Spear, which is what I was going for. You have nothing more to offer. You've done fine work at 138,000 souls. So, I'll talk more about what happened in the Souls series later. For the rest of this, we'll talk about the Sun Sword. Well-forged long sword of unknown origin, exhibiting no special power, but sturdily crafted. Perhaps it does not live up to its name, but nevertheless, merely wielding the sword seems to cause warmth to well up within one's bosom. Sunlight Parma, a small shield depicting a hero of yore. Perhaps these famed champions are no more, perhaps they have no desire to appear in public view, but the very absence made tales of their brave deeds all the more alluring, and this shield memorializes one of their brethren. Possibly Solaire, possibly someone else, we don't know. It's just a Sunbro. Sun Seal. Ring of the Heirs of the Sun Covenant slightly increases miracle attack power. Worship of the Sun, now a lost belief, was once widespread amongst great warriors. Members of this covenant can leave their golden signs to be more easily summoned to join brethren in jolly cooperation. And the god tier weapon from Gwyn himself, the Sunlight Spear, a miracle that launches a spear of sunlight, powered with immense wondrous souls. One of the ancient original miracles said to have existed from the infancy of the very world. Requires 55 faith, not something I can easily access. But definitely some interesting lore that the Sunbros may not exist anymore. Their statue exists, their covenant exists, but they may not exist as a thing. I don't entirely know what I'm doing right here. I'm just kind of running around killing these guys. I think I want to get some extra souls. Maybe just kill these guys for fun. Not certain. Smooth and Silky Stone. And working my way back to the bonfire. So, we're going to go ahead and level up here over at Majula. We're going to level up and we're going to buy some stuff. Now, I have 140,000 souls. That's the most souls I'm going to have for a very long time. Which means if I want to buy miracles, I need to buy them now. And Lycia is the ideal person to buy miracles from. Get that extra little bit of distance there at the very end. Also, all the other souls I picked up previously. Fading souls only give 50 per. I don't really know why they exist. But, then again, like I mentioned earlier in this playthrough, why are life gems souls? You are using souls to heal yourself. That's just kind of weird. Almost forgot about that Estus Flask Shard, actually. 163,000 souls. Lots of souls.
Just speak up if you're in need of miracles. That's why I'm here, after all.
I'm sure it is. So, picking up the Ring of Prayer, increase your faith by 5. Pretty impressive. And every single miracle in the book, even the useless ones like Homeward and Guidance. Well, useless to me, but not useless to all.
What is the first floor? Well, it's... Oh, done.
First Flame was more or less explained in the Dark Souls 1's opening cinematic. Stopping off at the blacksmith to see if there's anything I want. I do not believe there was.
You'll need souls to repair
and nothing I can actually get from him. So 100,000 souls dedicated to levels.
Here to see light, however.
And an Estus Flask Shard, of course. The levels are primarily going to be in the form of health. As kind of a spoiler right before you see it. I'm going up and going to upgrade my Vigor to 25 and Endurance up to 14. This is a huge increase in health, and you can see my health bar really has gotten quite a bit bigger. So now trading the small, smooth, and silky stuff with all the crows. Going through all of this. And then I decided I wanted to do some PvP. I wanted to use my cracked red eye orbs to finish this off. So it's kind of a co-op PvP episode. The Titanite slabs that I'm picking up are very nice. I also learned something just today, which is unfortunate because I could have used it when I was actually recording this episode. I learned today that apparently you need to use the rusted coin while trading these smooth and silky objects to the crows, because you can, the petrified something is the highest tier of smooth silky you can give to the crows, but if you use the rusted coin, you can get items from one tier higher. What you just saw right there was actually the most important item I garnered from it, the Demon's Great Hammer from Dark Souls 1. The Demon's Great Hammer being with the crows in this area hints at things betwixt being the Undead Asylum. Okay, so now we're gonna go into some PvP, some of the red eye orbs, and try and kill as many people as I can. Not all of them worked. I was disconnected, I believe, from one world that the world owner just turned off their game, and that was distressing for me. I mean, I wasted a cracked red eye orb for nothing because he just disconnected, turned off his game, and that's really frustrating when people do that. This was probably my favorite part of my entire 4-hour recording session, was the was the PvP aspect, specifically in invading as a red phantom, red invader, because you get the thrill of the hunt. Really, I'm the hunter, and that guy over there is the hunted. He probably saw my red rapier, I would guess, but I can't say for sure. So, the entire time I'm trying to kill Wi-Fi, I'm trying to find a way that it works best for me. You know, how am I going to catch my prey? How am I going to pounce on him and take him down? So I get the bright idea of leaving these lingering flames around. Just kind of placing them all over the place. And if I need to fall back, if I need to run away, I can go run past these lingering flame barriers, and he has to go through it if he wants to progress. Unfortunately, we'll see what that leads to later. What me placing those lingering flames down actually did. It's not a good thing. He thought he'd surprise me here. He came out a little bit too early. Started using magic, and, well, magic's pretty easy to dodge. So I just thought I'd stay up here. It's like, you know what? I want you to come this way. I want you to come fight over here. I have my lingering flames set up. I don't want you to fight out in the open. I want to fight over where the lingering flames are. Then I noticed something. Where's the red glow? Crap. The lingering flames expire. They never went off. They just ran out. And I no longer had the lingering flames as traps set up all over the level. The camera's doing a lot of weird things here, and I do apologize. It was frustrating. So there he is, taking pot shots. I want to get away from the pots because he's trying to blow them up and poison me. And there we go. He's engaged. I want the first hammer guy, and I'm going out with him. We're going to take down Wi-Fi together. Fortunately, he was nothing more than a short distraction. Battle ensues. Insert epic music here that's completely copyrighted and I can't use. Unfortunately, Wi-Fi opted to switch back to his magic, and that's what got him killed. He had poor swordsmanship and only used magic, and unfortunately, that's not good against someone who's using dual rapiers. Going into the second battle, familiar face. Avon. I do apologize, Avon, if you watched this video. I do apologize for invading your world. My intention was not to invade the Great Helpers. It was to invade random people. You just happen to be one of those random people. It has a lot of sunlight spears, but low enough poise that I can stop you from casting the sunlight spears with a simple rapier poke. Unfortunately, Avon was absolutely no match for me. There was just nothing I could do. Nothing Avon could do, so. Fire of Avon's soul, and I bow to it. I do apologize, Avon, if you see this. This one was interesting. Lady Israfel with her halberds. Totally didn't realize I didn't have my my power stance on, so my rapiers weren't quite as effective early on. Halberd and Dragon Shield, definitely more of a newbie to the Souls series, probably their first Souls game, and that's fine. But the PvP system is based off of soul memory, not based off of level. So even though I'm level 70 something, Lady Israfel could be 50. She could be 30. And I feel like this fight was really unfair. So a little bit too easy for Lady Israfel. Although not the easiest fight. The easiest fight comes up here pretty soon. So the world of Misty. Don't know what's going on. Can't find Misty anywhere. What's happening? Around, look around. Don't see Misty. She cleared the area. Oh, there's Misty. Hey, Misty. Chilling down there. So I'm just gonna wait. I figure, okay, Misty's gonna just chill right there, so I'm gonna go destroy this. And then boom. Misty disconnected, and you'll see right here, it'll show disconnected from the multiplayer session. Misty turned off their game. Misty was dishonorable. Now, as far as it goes with invading Red Phantoms, honor is limited. I mean, if I'm the person getting invaded, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I win. If I have to place lingering flame traps as the host, I will place lingering flame traps. I will kill whatever I need to kill, however I need to kill, to get the Red Phantoms out. There you go. This was my easiest battle. Master Magical just died. It was kind of sad. But I got a token of spite for it. And that was the last invasion. So I heard the pigs drop cracked red eye orbs. So I turned on a crushed ring, and that was the only cracked red eye orb I found. You can see now that there is no pigs left. All the piggies are gone. It's kind of sad. And by now the frame rate was getting really abysmal while I was playing the game. It was getting harder and harder to play. Most of the frame drops you're seeing are frame drops that I was experiencing personally. So I joined the Blue Sentinels to try and get some extra summons, but I never got summoned for the Blue Sentinels. I don't know why. In this fight, I don't know why. I just thought, you know, what if he's at the bonfire? And I walked over to the bonfire and I'm like, oh look, he's at the bonfire. And he's AFK, so I'll just backstab him to get to death. The backstabs don't do much, so I'll poke him with my dual rapiers instead. Oh wait, he's here. Placed up some lingering flames. Now we can't leave without getting hurt. I've trapped him inside the bonfire room. And he also has pyromancy, and this pyromancy he has is terrifying. Did a decent amount of damage, but it was not good enough for sure. Fireballs. I poke him, break his guard, and the lingering flames just tore him apart. The World Master, I'm sorry, but your time is done. And that's actually going to wrap up this episode here. There's really not much left to do. I buy up the miracles from Target. I rejoin the Way of the Blue.
In a rush.
And that's it. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.